Again, refresh your sense of going for refuge and generating bodhicitta. Bring to mind presence of all sentient beings, filling space, a sense of each other, sense of the presence of Chenrezig, radiant in space in front. Can imagine all enlightened beings, all inspiring beings dissolving into Chenrezig. Each of them not being the slightest bit stingy about their spiritual powers, their spiritual attainments, their well-being, offering it freely to you, to all sentient beings. Radiance filling space, Chenrezig's form, radiant white, sitting cross-legged, forearms, the right hand holding the mala, left hand holding the right hand holding the mala. The left, the lotus. Two hands joined at the heart, holding the wish-fulfilling jewel. Smiling. Red silk robe, the other silks and jewels. Radiating light filling space. Again, allow Chenrezig to dissolve into light, flow into your body. And dissolve. Now take a bit of a tour through our perceptions of our body, the way that we hold our own self-image in ordinary terms. This will be a partial exploration using some of the methods of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of phenomena, but we'll concentrate mainly on mindfulness of the body. Gyaltsen Rinpoche once said that Yidam practice, like the practice of Chenrezig, was just a Vajrayana approach to the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So I think it can be helpful to actually explore a little more carefully how our own sense of who we are arises in our stream of experience. As a support for Vajrayana practice. We can open up a little bit. Bring your attention to the tactile sensations of the body. Can allow the awareness to move gently through. You might relax a little bit here and there. Often we begin starting with the head and face and work through the shoulders, the arms, and torso and abdomen. Sensations, the pelvis and buttocks, and the legs and the feet. When you have more time, you can go through much more slowly. And really note more clearly and vividly all these sensations. But for now, we just want to make sure that we're present with this field of experience. Note also, explore this a little bit, that when you direct your attention to a certain part of your body, thinking something like hands, it's likely that a mental image of hands will arise. A mental image that catalogs thumb and fingers and so on. For the moment, just notice that that image is not the same thing as the sensation. And return to the sensations. Allow the attention to focus on one area, just the sensation, perhaps of your hand, one hand. Look in that sensation. And look to see, is there an inside or an outside to that sensation? Is there a sense of space within it? Allow the attention to encompass the overall field of the body as a field of sensation. Is there a sense of space within that? Thoughts may arise in response to these questions, as in yes or no, or I don't know, or do these thoughts have a location? There's some sense of a relationship between the tactile sensation and a location of a thought. What's the experience of the space in between? Is there a space? All these questions are designed to support us looking at our experience. They don't need concepts as answers. In this case, the concept would just be another thing to examine as an experience. We can investigate these fully, more comprehensively, if we get teachings on the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And I think it's very useful actually to investigate these as a support, because it can help open up our sense of how we carry who we are. Open up some space to see how it is that we might cultivate the sense of being Chenrezig. Since one of our primary supports for our sense of ordinary reality is visual, this is a domain that merits some definite exploration. If we look ahead of us just without moving our eyes, just at one place, And then just notice everything that's in our field of view. It's easy to see that very little is distinct and clear except for what's right in front. Yet we generally have a very clear sense that we see everything in front of us. Though I can only see a small bit, I think I can see this room. This whole visual field is interesting to explore so that we can allow some more openness and see how much we're relying on memory, how much we're living in a world of ideas about where we are. You can explore this by taking anything. I brought along a red square for you to just look at. Zopa and Dora and I will have to find something very, very simple to look at. The notion here is it's not complicated to remember the basics about a red square. I've looked at this enough that I can imagine it easily. So if we look at something like this with the intention that I must form a clear mental image of this so that if I come across a red square in the future, I'll be able to find it. I'll carry this mental image very clearly. And while this image is right in front of us, we can just look directly at it. Now the exercise here is to take the mental image that we've formed and just imagine it in space just above the red square. And carry it vividly in the imagination, like, oh yes, now I've really, and if we need to, I can look down if I'm missing something about the redness or its squareness. You can hold this image very easily, right above, just though it's right next to it. Now let that mental image settle down directly on top of the red square, but still hold the mental image very vividly in mind. We can exercise our minds like this and see, which am I really looking at? The mental image or the visual image? And let go. Whenever we let go of practice for a moment, we can always do a mental dedication. I would encourage everybody to take time to explore all the domains of sensation, all the aspects of our experience. As we look more and more carefully into these, it's possible to have see them all as the ground which could produce deeper and deeper insight. There's no aspect of our experience that cannot be the ground for profound insight. So we can carry the wish that when we go about in our lives, that we will treat all aspects of our experience, that which we take to be external, that which we take to be internal, as opportunities to apply a kind of profound, gentle curiosity about the experience. We can include in this an exploration. Maybe we'll do this for just a minute or two now. To look, see what is the experience of having an experiencer. So far, we haven't actively used our text, and right now you're not going to use it, but I will. So you can also stay with your feet off the pedals, at least in terms of reading. Because at the beginning, and even different times, just the act of reading feels like I'm trying to juggle, and actually really all I can do is hold one ball in one hand right at the moment. Thank you. So don't even ask me to hold another one at the same time. Vajrayana practice does actually require eventually sort of a fluidity and a relaxed relationship with these things. But at the beginning, it's good to actually be kind of gentle about that. So I'll read and give some instructions. And this actually a point for the future. One of the things that's helpful in practice is to become so familiar with texts that we can actually recite them from memory, so that we can carry it with us at different times, and we can carry a relationship with it along the way. So it's actually quite good to do that. We tend to not quite have the same relationship with memorizing things that traditional societies had, where you didn't have Google to remind you continually. But I want to go through the practice just once, and what I'm doing today, we're only going to use the root text, which is just a fraction of this. And because the root text, you could say, contains the seed of it all, then it's good to be able to have familiarity with that and to know that it really does contain the whole thing, that the other elements are elaborations to make it easier to catch some of the details. And the root text, basically, it just has the refuge in bodhicitta. That's actually, this particular refuge in bodhicitta is, it just assumes, the practice assumes that you will know refuge in bodhicitta and be able to do something. So there are two refuge prayers in here, and one of them is refuge in bodhicitta. So we'll just use that today because it's more succinct. But that, the visualization, the praise to Chenrezig, and 2 short verses before and after the mantra and dedication, like a 4-line dedication, that's the root text. So if you read quickly, you'll be done before you even started the practice. But I just want to give you a chance to go through it so you can see that it can actually unfold fairly quickly. So again, bringing Chenrezig as the embodiment of all refuges in space in front, surrounded by all sentient beings. Go for refuge. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. For a moment, just holding Chenrezig, the space in front, brilliant, all sentient beings. And allow that to just fade into the space of mind. Out of that space, again, all sentient beings, and on the crown of each being, it's an 8-petaled lotus with a flat moon sitting on the lotus. And the seed of Chenrezig, the letter Shri, if you don't know it, just a brilliant ball of light. Light radiates, filling space, invoking the presence and activity of all the enlightened ones. Light returns to the Shri, ball of light on the crown of our heads. Again, fills space. Touching all sentient beings. Out of this tree, the seed, the form of Chenrezig arises. On the crown of myself and sentient beings, pervasive as space, is a lotus and moon seed. From the tree appears the noble Chenrezig, clear white and radiating 5-colored light. Smiling and gazing with compassionate eyes, the first pair of his 4 hands are joined together. The lower 2 hold the crystal mala and a white lotus. Adorned with jewels and silks, he wears a deerskin upper garment. His head ornament is Amitabha, and his 2 legs sit in the Vajrasana. A stainless moon supports his back. He is the embodiment and essence of all sources of refuge. Holding this image in mind, powerful, brilliant radiance, such brilliance that it would cause anyone who came upon it to just stop completely, totally magnetized. Totally magnetized by the tender, loving kindness. And the praise. Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow. Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow. Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow. And holding in mind this brilliant presence, engendering a profound wish that we too could embody exactly what is clearly manifest. And then, by praying one-pointedly in this manner, light radiates from the body of the Noble One and purifies impure karma, appearance, and deluded mind. The outer environment becomes the realm of Dewa Chen. The body, speech, and mind of the inhabitants become the exalted body, speech, and mind of the powerful Chenrezig. Appearance, sound, and awareness are inseparable with emptiness. So we take the form of Chenrezig, one face and 4 arms. right hand holding the mala, the left the lotus, wish-fulfilling jewel between our hands, in front of our chest, sitting cross-legged, brilliant white, all beings are in the same form. The environment is a pure land where all aspects of appearance support the maturation of deep insight and the purification of all karmic tendencies. And we recite the mantra embodying the activity of Chenrezig. Ourselves is the Chenrezig. Chenrezig is our guru above our heads. All beings surrounding us, the form of Chenrezig. Om Mani Padme, 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 Om Mani Padme
And all beings dissolve into a blaze of light and are absorbed into Chenrezig, the crown of our head. Chenrezig melts into light. Brilliant light streams in through our body, causing our own form as Chenrezig to dissolve into light, dissolving from the top down and the feet up into the heart center. Into a point of light, which is the seed of Chenrezig, all dissolving into the point of light. Brilliant point of light gets smaller and smaller till it just fades out of view. Rest. We arise from this resting, seeing our body as just no different in essence than Chenrezig, though it appears in ordinary form.
This ordinary form is just the radiant play of the mind. Our speech is no different than the mantra, the radiant expression of Chenrezig's mind. All thoughts and memory are just waves, manifestation of profound wisdom, inseparable from the expression of mind. So it says, the apparitional bodies of myself and others are the body of the Noble One. Sounds are the melody of the sixth syllable. Thought and memory are waves of great intrinsic awareness. By this virtue may I accomplish the state of powerful Chenrezig and establish all beings without exception on that level. Thus the dedication. I did many of the things that I planned to do this morning, but one of them I didn't do, and that was to have any breaks for questions. And what I would encourage you to do right now, before I let you get up, because I know it's very easy for this to happen, that if you do have any questions, you either make a very firm mental note of it or physical note of it before we break. So looking back over the various things that we've done in relationship to refuge and the presence of Chenrezig, the image, investigating ordinary experience, whatever it is. If there are any questions about the process, please make a note of them. And when we come back after lunch, we'll do a short bit of practice, and then we'll have some time for questions then. But I hope you all have brought I hope everybody brought something to eat so that you can kind of hang out here quietly for lunch. If you didn't, then there are places to go, but try to carry the practice as much as possible and to not use the time at lunch to or whatever it is, but to try to carry a little bit of some sense of continuity, particularly continuity of the sense of presence of Chenrezig, sense of connection to all beings. Even carry yourself as Chenrezig, if you're up to it. And we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Since we're quiet, it won't take us nearly so long to eat. So thank you.